human, but if you're placed in a parental role or a role where you're supposed to set an example, like, of course, everything you do is going to affect your kin and the people around you. And so these girls choosing bad guys, like, it's going to happen. There's a 60% chance it's going to happen once you've witnessed that in your own childhood or, with
Yeah, I think broken families
else.
are a huge problem. I mean, the divorce rate now is at 50%. In the United States. And yeah, if you come from a broken home, you have a terrible example of how a relationship and a marriage is supposed to work. Again, in my argument, this would be a return back to like, what is the purpose of marriage, tradition, religion, these types of things. But yeah, I mean, the broken family epidemic and divorce rate is terrible. And then when you really start getting into some of the SAing of children, I mean, it's step parents that tend to do it most frequently. And there's a lot of statistics on that regarding men coming into households, and then the woman that they married already has a daughter, and stuff like that happening. So a traditional nuclear family, again, a lot of that stuff just wouldn't be as prevalent in our culture as it currently is.
True. But also with, religious families, they teach the women a lot like, oh, well, you should give him a second chance and forgive him. But now you're also showing your child, okay, he hit me and I'm going to take him back anyways. And so now what does that tell your daughter?
I think it depends on each circumstance and context.
So you do think that like domestic violence would be okay if it's going to keep the family together?
That's an extreme take on what I just said. I'm not supporting domestic violence. I'm saying that every instance of domestic violence doesn't mean that it should be divorce, or that the wife or the man shouldn't forgive the partner. That's a context by context situation that I think, again, details are going to really matter there.
Okay.
But just a blanket, like if there is domestic abuse, that should equate, it could be just one single instance, that should equates to divorce. I mean, both people need to be held accountable, right? I'm all for accountability for all parties.
What would she need to be held accountable for?
Well, in any circumstance. Any situation. So not just one in which the man physically abuses a woman, but obviously it goes the other way. In other instances
by like
as well.
14%, but the rest is men.
But I mean, women are verbally abusive, and they're
I'm counting verbally and
they're
mental.
abusive in other ways. Men have a monopoly on physical violence, so obviously men are going to act out that way. But women have other ways in which they can jab and get at their partner. It's usually through words, could be through cheating or adultery. There's other ways in which women also do things that are very conniving. So I'm not supporting either party. That's my point, is that responsibility needs to go to all parts, and so nobody's making an apology for domestic abuse.
But within the church, let's say he's a 2-time offender in the family, but they're married, and the church is telling her, oh, you should forgive him. Do you think that she's supposed to take him back?
That would be a case by case, depending on how exactly that works within that family, that community. I have no idea.
Oh, I have a story to tell about domestic violence. So I was pregnant, I think, with my third child, and went to Florida for vacation. And my oldest child jumped on me like he was playing, and it really hurt me, and I was freaked out that something would happen to the baby. So my husband was like, you know what, I'll bring you to the hospital, we'll check it out. And then we get to the hospital, and the doctor just looks at me in this really weird way, and he's like, are you sure this is what happened? Like, are you sure your child did this to you? I'm like, yeah, this is literally what happened. And then the doctor told me, yeah, it's so common for me to see pregnant women who come with injuries because their husbands beat them.
It's actually the number one reason for death in pregnant women is homicide by their partner.
Well,
it's so crazy.
The number one,
unaliving of pregnant women is actually homicide by their partner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you meant the death of the child.
No.
In which case I was going to say
woman.
that's probably abortion.
Well, in how many cases were they married? Because I just find it a bit of a reach that there'd be so much like homicide for somebody who's already married and their wife being pregnant. I could see it in circumstances in which they're not pregnant, or it's an unexpected pregnancy, or it's a different relationship dynamic. Not saying that it doesn't happen, but it just seems like it'd be way less common with a married couple.
In your perspective, yes.
Generally speaking, we're just talking about statistics generally speaking. Not that it can't happen, of course.
It does.
What do you think of men? Because I've heard you a couple times throughout the night. You seem to like always want to go towards like men are criminals, men are predators, men are like
I'm not saying all men. But I'm saying I don't think that men hold other men accountable for what they're doing that gives them a bad image. And you want to call
Men
on us to do
absolutely
the
hold
same.
other men accountable
No,
through
they really
through
don't.
the police force,
There's been
through the justice system.
115,000 women killed in femicide last year alone in South America. That is
Hold on.
crazy.
Wait, 150.
I'm just saying. 115.
150,000 women murdered in which South American country?
In all of South America.
All of South America.
Correct. In 1 year.
Okay, so Peru, Chile, Brazil, Argentina. You're up to date on the South American femicide stats?
I spent a lot of time researching because I rather do that than doom scroll on TikTok. So
150,000 women have been unalived in South America
For being women?
yes.
Wait, hold on.
We're in America. We're very blessed by where we are.
But you presented this in response to me saying men do hold other men accountable. So are you saying what's the?
I'm saying you never hear the other side. You don't have women murdering men just because they're
in
men.
Argentina and they just get away with it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
You guys do realize that? Hold on. You guys do realize that murders are the most heavily investigated criminal
In the
acts
US.
possible.
No,
In
but
the
that's
US.
South America. South America has a lot of unstable countries like
Yeah,
Brazil,
wait.
like they have
Yeah, like
Colombia.
Mafia ran and yeah.
Why do you think everyone's coming up here from Mexico? There's a lot of violence. It's not the same as America. I don't know what you mean.
I don't know
Anyway,
that-
I'm not saying.
I would need to look
not
at that
saying-
research and that paper. I mean, I'm not saying there's not violence, and certainly violence across cultures changes, and some cultures are more violent, could be towards women than others. I'm totally on board with that possibility, but
It's
150,000.
not a possibility. It's published. So
Are
it's
you
Yeah, I'd love to read it.
anti-immigration?
No, I'm saying.
Wait, no. Answer my question though. Are you against immigration, especially
Do
from
you want
Latin
those people moving here?
especially from Latin American countries?
No, and I have a completely different
Well,
political
hold on.
view.
But there's rampant amounts
Yeah,
of
those men aren't holding each other
femicide.
accountable.
These women are getting like wholesale murdered, and the majority of these illegal immigrants typically they tend to skew male. And you want to allow them into the United States?
No, I
that
didn't
doesn't
say
make.
that.
I feel
You
like
just
this
said-
is
but-
like going in a completely
No,
different-
you have to logically.
Well, hold on.
If
I'm
you let
happy.
me
Yeah, it is.
clarify without interrupting, I can definitely
Well,
tell
okay.
you
So
my
are you
perspective.
okay with illegal immigration?
I think that just like other immigrants who've come here from other countries and they've applied for citizenship and they want a better life here in
I'm
America.
talking about
That'd be legal
illegal
immigration.
I'm talking
They
about
absolutely
illegal.
deserve to. When we have families who are coming over illegally because they don't have any other option and they're seeking refuge, we actually have, programs in place for that. There's also the one that's, Violence Against Women Act, which keeps you here for 2 years while you're doing your application for citizenship. If you're experiencing domestic violence,
It doesn't answer my question though. Are you in favor of illegal immigration?
Illegal.
I think no, because I think our system needs to change completely, and it's not a yes or no answer. That like everything needs to be changed, but
Should they be
it's
deported?
not simple. I
Okay,
think the criminals should be deported. Absolutely.
well,
They're criminals by crossing illegally, correct?
If you're here in the country illegally, you are committing a crime. So
Federal crime.
should we deport all illegal immigrants?
But you were making a point about immigration, saying that all these women killing immigrants were coming over, and am I okay with that? So now
Well,
you're
it's-
changing the question.
Well, hold on. No, it's your position. You're saying there's like vast amounts of femicide in Latin America, in South America. Right? That's
Yes.
what you said. And you're
Yeah.
saying, well, these men are just brutalizing and murdering all these women in South America. That's a large bulk. The South Americans are a large bulk of the illegal immigrants coming into this country. In
Yeah.
addition to you have like Central Americans too, and then you have like Mexicans also. So I would assume, given this like exorbitant rate of femicide and murder of women in these Latin American countries, I think you're pointing to perhaps a culture where it's okay for like violence against women. You surely then, to be consistent, would not want this cohort of people illegally entering the country where they can victimize
American women.
in this country.
I think just like every other country, America should have its own borders and enforce it. And I don't think that anyone is doing the right steps to actually solve the issue that's really going on. I lived in Tucson, and my grandma lives an hour from the border. I've seen how bad it actually is. You guys are actually a little sheltered over here from all that.
California has like a massive
You
illegal immigration
yeah,
problem.
but you don't see
Okay,
the
sure,
cartel
maybe-
stuff that we see. Like, it's pretty bad. But anyways, yeah, Tucson's
Should we deport
crime
the
rate.
illegal immigrants?
I think that Trump, like when he was first saying all the violent ones and all the ones that have a record, I think that should be your priority.
I'm fine with prioritizing them.
And
But
then-
should we deport all the illegal immigrants?
By the time he gets done with deporting all of the criminal ones, he's going to be out of office anyway.
So
Sure,
you're
should
okay then
we?
with all the other illegals being here, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying that, but I think they do need to register and actually work towards getting citizenship. And if they're
Well, why
ones
don't
who
we
want
then
to
just
refuse
deport all
that,
of them and then allow them to apply the legal way, and then we can vet everybody and look at their backgrounds and see where they're coming
because
from.
they know better. Because
Then we
they
can
know
make sure
that
they're not going to commit
the Mexican
femicide.
government is not going to support them or like even provide resources for them like we do. That's literally why they're here.
Why
So-
should we do that?
Yeah, so that's not beneficial to me as an heritage American and taxpayer.
Yeah,
That's
and
totally
that's totally fine.
disenfranchises me.
My thing is, you're trying to get me to focus on something that I'm not even concerned with.
I know, but
because
he's making a
I'm an
logically
independent
consistent
who didn't
argument
even
by
vote
saying
because I
you just
hated
described a problem in South
everybody.
America, and he's saying, okay, well, here's a culturally relevant topic
But
to
that
America.
was one event when I'm trying to give you examples that, because your
But
original
you
question
shifted it.
was.
But hold on, you're saying I shifted it, which I could dispute. But you shifted it because I was saying men hold men accountable, and you want to move to like, okay, this specific thing in South America where perhaps law enforcement is not nearly as effective as it is in the United States, where we enjoy, where law enforcement has far more resources and is far more sophisticated than law enforcement in third world countries.
It was one example that I was going to give you in concurrence with other ones, like the fact that the child trafficking industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I mean, triple-digit billion-dollar industry every year around the world, and people like Tim Tebow speak on that. And it's men who are the consumers. I'm not saying
So who do
all
we go
men
after
are
with that
terrible.
industry? Hold on, with that industry, who do we go after? The people that are selling humans for sex trafficking and the consumers of sex trafficking? Because it gets back to the corn industry in regards to not holding
It actually
people
doesn't.
performing.
It's the government who's bribed to have those kids
No, I'm
coming
with
over
you. The
from
CIA's
Mexico that make them disappear.
The CIA is totally in bed with all these operations, drug
Yeah,
trafficking, sex
it's
trafficking.
all within the government. That
Yeah,
has
well, our
nothing to do
intelligence
with
agencies
corn.
are
Corn is a
corrupted.
distraction. Okay, we're all distracted. All the media is owned by BlackRock, and they just tell you whatever
That's
they
true.
want you to
BlackRock,
actually hear.
State Street,
So we're not
Vanguard.
getting into all of that. You're just seeing what they want you to see. My point being, it's not all men.
Okay.
But it is a lot of men who are doing these things, and I don't see
From particular areas, too, in
in
particular
2025, you can change your gender. You can get married to someone of
I
the
don't
same
think
sex.
you can,
Hold
personally.
on. I'm saying you can do all these things, but why are we still facing femicide in the world? Why are we still facing all of these issues that shouldn't be like prevalent anymore? The women
can-
are
can-
half of the world population, and yet we're the ones who are always being raped, killed, etc. Like, why is no one
Wait, hold
standing
on.
up for that?
You do realize that men are disproportionately more likely to be victims of violent crime. They're more likely to be murdered. They're
from
more
each
likely-
other.
How
It's
would-
still men on men.
yeah. So
It's
are
still
you,
men
just to
that
be
are the
clear-
problem.
Okay.
You're
I'm
proving my
happy
point.
to engage there, but you're going to have to concede with me that my point is true first.
Which point?
That men are more likely to be victims of violent crime.
Yeah, and it's from other men.
Okay, why would that matter? That sounds like victim blaming. It's a total red herring. What would that matter? The gender of the perpetrator has no impact on the victim. If I'm dead and the person who killed me is a man or the person who killed me is a woman, does that make me any more or less dead?
No, I'm saying that if it were a bunch of women raping and killing men, that it would be a huge issue. But because it's the other way around, it's just normal and expected. And I don't see that people are standing up for it as much as they do for other things.
Wait, hold on. Murder of women by men is taken far more seriously than murder of men by men.
Can I say something?
So I don't understand. Go
Maybe
ahead.
she means that like women are weaker than men. So like as a man, you can protect yourself from another man, like if something like that happens. But as a woman, like, I can't really protect
We are
myself.
very vulnerable.
Yeah, women are more vulnerable, even if men get killed more than women, basically.
What?
Well, because men
What?
claim they're supposed to be our protectors, but then why would all those women be killed by femicide? Because they can't protect themselves, and
Yeah.
so men are supposed
I
to
don't
be
know. Why
protectors.
do women
So who's
like,
calling
why,
on these men
hold
to
on.
be
If
protectors?
we want to talk about violence, then I'm like, and I think your framing is really bad faith. I can be uncharitable too, although like probably some people are going to agree with me. Like women are overwhelmingly killing their children in the womb.
True.
And you kill
Fact.
babies of any gender. Like, what is it? 70 million a year abortions. Is it really men that are so violent? Like, at least, you know, when it comes to male violence, there's typically components of like, you know, there's some fucking beef or like gang violence or something. No, even though some of that stuff is like completely arbitrary and stupid, y'all are literally killing unborn children. So who's more monstrous? The men who are like involved in gang violence and like street beefs over like who can sell smack on the street corner, or women who are unaliving their really, really defenseless unborn children?
Right.
When
That
is the last
they were
time you
complicit in
heard-
making.
When was the last time you heard about a female student at a university raping a man and then still getting to graduate?
Well, do you want to answer my question first?
Right.
No, I'm saying like you like to redirect the conversation, which I totally respect and I will follow.
You redirect. You're the one throwing out all these red herrings, but okay, let's hear your
What are
other
red herrings?
men
I'm
bad.
stating
Tell me
things that
the
are
next
actually
men
published
tell me
online.
the
You can
next-
pull up.
Tell me the next men bad thing. Go ahead.
I'm not saying all men.
Okay, what percentage?
That's where
of
you're
men?
missing the point.
Okay, what's the university? What is it? Tell me the university example. Go ahead.
I'm just saying
No,
that
you said something about being able to walk at
when
graduation. Tell me the example.
when the roles are reversed, men are going to stick up for other men and be like, "Oh, we're not going to take that from women." But then when it's happening to women, we're supposed to be submissive.
Dude, hold on, wait, hold on. I can
Women don't stand
hold
up
on.
for other women?
I can disprove that. First off, I do want to hear your example about the like being able to walk for graduation. In prison, where the population is made up entirely of criminals, there can be murderers in there. Murderers live among murderers. But if you go into general population in a prison and you're they call it chomo, if you're you touch women or you touch children or whatever it is, you've got a fucking target on your back, and if you step foot in general population, you will be dead within 24 hours at the hands of the other inmates. So even criminal men who have questionable virtue, even they are going to literally kill, like vigilante justice will kill rapists, and they will kill people who touch children.
Yeah.
So this idea that men won't hold other men accountable, the justice system is very effective. And then in addition to that, there's extrajudicial punishment if these men do find themselves in prison and in a certain situation with an inmate. These guys got targets on their backs. Trust me. So this idea that there's a grape culture where it's accepted, or that there's like a culture where these crimes are the most abhorrent crimes ever, and trust me, most men would will gladly kill a PDF file. They'll gladly kill a rapist. Oops, shouldn't have said that. My bad. Whatever.
Yes, in the U.S., absolutely. But I mean, on a worldwide scale, no matter where we are, women are still going to be like at the bottom of the food chain when it comes to.
Wait. Oh my. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Can you tell me the walking at the? What was the example you gave?
There was a college, I don't even remember his name, but this was 4 years ago. This college athlete, it's just the example I'm giving you to portray what I'm talking about. He had raped her at a party on the university grounds, right? But because it was a party and they didn't want to say that, you know, he actually did it because he was their star fucking athlete on this team. He got to walk on his graduation. He didn't do any jail time, and it basically just all was.
Did she
null
go
and
to the
void.
police?
Yes,
Okay.
she did the whole kit and everything.
So there was an accusation that was made. What evidence was presented that it actually occurred? Besides
Because
just the
his
accusation.
DNA was found, and his defense attorney was arguing that, oh, well, because there was alcohol at the party, who's to know if she gave him consent or not?
Whoa,
Fair
hold on,
enough.
hold
Even
on.
though
Wait,
it was
do you think-
outside
wait,
behind a trash
Hold on.
can and somebody found him doing it. But anyways,
Wait, are you talking about the?
he's a swimmer.
I think I know the case that you're talking about. The affluenza case? Is that what you're talking about? Or no, that was a DUI case, I think.
Yeah, no.
There's some kid, rich kid, who like I think killed somebody in a DUI and got off really easily.
That sounds like.
But I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know the specifics.
I mean,
I
just
don't-
on even like a smaller
I don't-
scale, like a way smaller scale. Like, let's say you went to Macy's, like she did yesterday, and you went to go shopping, and a guy came up to you and was like, "Hey, Brian, like, what's up? Like, watch your stuff, whatever." Like, are you thinking that he's gonna like flash his dick at you? Like,
But don't you think
no,
the
but like
sexualization-
that happens like to women.
Yeah, and that's
Women,
wrong.
if
Yeah,
you walk
that's
in a
wrong.
parking
Wrong.
garage as a woman and it's nighttime and there's a guy behind you, you get chills up your back. Do you
Yeah,
not?
so do I. Cool. Men are victims of violent crime. I don't know if you guys know this. Men get jumped. Men get robbed.
Right.
I've been the victim of a violent crime. So this idea that men can just like they blithely just walk through the world without a care in the like no cares, and they just can walk at night without feeling unsafe. I've been walking in situations where I felt unsafe.
Right.
Would you go on a hike alone?
Depends on where.
Sure. Yeah, women go on hikes alone too.
I
I
would.
mean,
Yeah, there's 3 of
I
them
would
that
never.
got unalived
never- I
in
would
Phoenix.
never-
okay, bad thing happened to a woman. But I do. You mentioned that there was DNA for this like example that you provided.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So if somebody's had a consensual sexual encounter, is it plausible that they're gonna find the other person's DNA on them?
So you're assuming it's consensual.
I'm innocence until proven guilty. Do you disagree with innocence until proven guilty?
You're saying that when she claimed that
I
this
don't- hold on.
happened, that it was consensual.
Hold on. I don't know the specific case you're referencing. You just gave me a vague thing where it sounds like there was a police investigation. They made some determination that there wasn't enough evidence or something to proceed. If that is actually the case, don't you believe in innocent until proven guilty?
I do.
Doesn't sound like it.
But what I'm saying is when things like that happen, it's just common and it's water under the bridge, and
Okay, it's not just water under the bridge. Men's
But see-
lives get ruined, and even just based off a dubious accusation, but
not really. We have one in office right now.
What did he do?
dubious.
What do you mean?
Did he grab him by the pussy? What did
Exactly.
Well,
Like,
I think. Hold on, hold on.
Can you
No,
imagine?
It's
can
literally
you
a
imagine
completely.
if somebody
hold on.
else had said that?
It's a totally
woman said
dubious. I don't know if you investigated the accusations against Trump. Extremely dubious.
Accusations.
shit-
There's a voice recording. What are you talking about?
Hold on. Are you talking about the civil case that he had?
I'm talking about from his first
Hold on.
election,
We
that
can come
recording
to
that
Trump.
came out where
we
he
can come
says,
to Trump, but first, I want to ask though, if they find DNA, does that mean that a crime occurred? Because I've had unprotected sex with my girlfriend, and if she went and got a DNA test, they would find DNA of me.
But they were not dating. She did not know him, and it was a party with a bunch of other people.
Is
And
it plausible that they had a consensual sexual encounter?
Is it plausible? I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's not
What
a
did he say
possibility.
happened?
He's saying that she got too drunk and she can't remember that she said no. But when the guy found him
So they
outside,
went to a college party and they hooked up?
no, they didn't. She showed up and he was one of the guests there.
Wait, can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
If
but you
both
can't give
people-
consent if you're intoxicated. That's like the
Yeah,
when
that's
you're,
also
when you're
a
past
point.
the point of certain intoxication. There,
If you're
you legally cannot
incapacitated,
get-
but if you've had a beer, is that great?
No, this girl was passed out in the
Well, yeah,
like,
that's
next to
wrong.
trash cans.
Well, that's
like,
Yeah, that's the case I'm talking about. And
okay.
a guy,
Thank
a
you
guy
for
is
the
the
new
one that
detail
found
that
him.
you didn't previously.
But I said a guy.
present to me.
A guy.
Yes, if you have sex with a woman who's passed out, that's great.
I said that they were
But if you-
outside by the
if you
trash.
both
This
had,
guy
like, 2 or
found
3
him on top
shots-
of her.
if you both had 2 or 3 shots. Wait, let me ask you guys a question. If the guy is more drunk than the woman, is she a rapist?
If he didn't give consent, yeah, I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, it definitely is
It's
both.
about women. If you can't consent, it's grape.
But, okay, I'm trying to understand this because there are narratives out there that if you've had any level of alcohol consumption, you no longer can consent. So where is the threshold? Where is the actual line?
If you're not coherent, you can't like answer a yes or no question. Like, and if you're, I don't know, I feel like the line is clear, and you should know before you get drunk. Like, it shouldn't be if I was hooking up with someone and they got drunk and they said yes, I probably wouldn't even hook up with them then. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that you should give permission beforehand, or not hook up with someone who's blackout drunk or drunk at all, because then that's where the line.
Well, what responsibilities on women for getting blackout drunk and going to situations in which that's
See, that's
possible?
where
Oh
that's
my
gray
God.
area. Saying that
It's
is
such a
like,
gray area. It's like we're just gonna go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like, it's just a gray area, honestly.
Wait, so what was your? Say that again. What did you say?
I said, what's the responsibility on women getting trashed and getting
And-
drunk in environments where that stuff can happen?
Exactly. So in what regard? Like, what are you saying?
I
Like,
mean, if you go out and you just have a drink or two and you still have your senses about you, I mean, the likelihood of something like that happening is going to be much less.
But I think at that point, if it does happen to them, it's not like about the woman, like if she was responsible enough or not, and she shouldn't have gone blackout drunk. Like, that shouldn't have happened in general. Like that shouldn't even be a question in that scenario, in my opinion. Like, if she was responsible.
If
or
a
not.
woman got drunk, but she was not incapacitated, as almost any girl who's ever been to college ever has done, and then she regrets it the next day,
That's not
is that rape?
No.
No.
But that's not what. Why are you
No.
making that face? That's not.
But that
And I
happens.
see what you're saying.
That
but
happens with everything.
A lot.
Yes,
and I
it
see what
does.
you're saying. That does happen a lot. Girls will say that, and that's why girls don't have as much credibility
Yes.
about when they say. That's why people don't believe girls as much, because those situations happen, and then these guys' lives are ruined over a situation where they thought it was completely consensual, and that's why it's a gray area. But yes, guys' lives will be ruined, and that's why girls' credibility is just like completely gone to shit when it comes to grape, and that is just something that will forever be the case, and it's never going to change.
I just want, for the next generation, like, I want both women and men to feel like they're safe, they're respected by the other gender, and that, like, they don't have to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't even walk to my car at night without, being at risk of something happening. And I don't think that's an unfair ask, so.
Touchy subject.
I know, but it's because
I'm glad we got into all
Look,
but because
I
we're
get it.
men, you'll never
Look.
be in our shoes, so you
Oh
won't
my
see
God.
the
you
perspective.
have, okay, hold on. Women, okay, there's all these stories of like female teachers taking advantage of their like junior high school students,
Every
elementary
week.
school students. This is a super common occurrence. It's not like it's downplayed to quite an extent. I personally think it's abhorrent. Whereas like if it's a male teacher, female student, that's just major deal. It's looked at through a completely different lens. Men are victimized too. It's just, I don't know. It's kind
And their
of
sentences are worse. I mean, recently I've been following, there's been a handful. I mean, every week you can find a news article about a female teacher sleeping with her students. And it's becoming more and more common. I mean, just go do a Google search. You'll find tons and tons of articles, and then do it based on dates, and you'll see how frequently this is. And then you look at the sentencing in regards to them versus if a adult male did that with the same aged female, the sentencing is way different. And they're punished much harder.
And it should be the same.
It should be the same.
That's like more with the courts, like not like what she's saying.
But
like,
it's just a cultural disposition that we have that needs to change in regards to how these dynamics work.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't even know what we were talking about.
Grape.
There.
Next question.
No, like before. No, that even led to that.
Well, I think everything started to spiral once we heard about femicide.
Or something.
Less, like,
I know, ruin the moods.
Well, I get the impression that you, like, it sounded like from what you told us before, like you view things through this paradigm of through your own trauma.
No, my mother is a domestic violence victim advocate, and my little sister worked for CPS, and she firsthand saw all of these things happening.
Oh, okay.
So it's not from my trauma.
No,
it's
but it
from
is your paradigm. Like you
experience.
view things in a very like biased sort of victim way.
It's not a victim. It's experience.
Well, do you have animosity towards men? I mean, one of the things, because you mentioned you're kind of proud about 1 out of every 4 women like stay single for the rest of your life, and that's a goal that you hope to uphold. And it sounds like, just based on everything you keep saying, it's a lot of fingers being pointed at men, and it sounds like maybe that colors why even you have no interest in long-term relationships or marriage.
No, I just think that
Maybe she's just lost a lot of hope.
yeah, I've lost hope for sure.
Do you think we should believe all women?
No. We're all human, like I was saying before, but obviously
I don't
there are
think
physical
anyone should believe
differences
anyone.
between. Yeah, I know.
Like, trust no one.
Just no one.
Everyone
X-Files
lies.
had it right. Oh my gosh.
Anywho,
What other questions are on that list?
Damn, bro. I shouldn't take the bait, chat. I fucking hate. Oh my god. So fucking frustrating. I take the bait, and it's such a fucking buzzkill to talk about this topic. Okay. All right. Thank you.
We can talk about dick size again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, I guess, Jordan, you mentioned using men to take away your loneliness.
Yeah. I mean,
Is that what you did?
I didn't use men. I guess that was wrong wording.